That might not be a good thing.
Moments later.
No, 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 no. Generic intro in the Doc Goes. We're back with another Game Theory FNAF video. Today we're doing Bonnie's Haunted Past Security Breach, which I'm guessing has something to do that was revealed with the Ruin DLC coming out, and it mentioned something about Bonnie's past, where it looks like Bonnie kind of looked a little bit different. Looks straight out of the 70s, like it's one of those a VHS tape for like a workout exercise with a headband and all that, which would kind of go with the whole theme of the Pizzaplex and whatnot. Last week's video was my first time seeing anything related to Security Breach Ruin, and it's absolutely terrifying, and I don't want to play it because I don't like scary games. I actually got jump scared right off the start. You want to check my reaction to that video, I'll leave it right up there. Also link down below in the description. Also gonna play some channel with all my other Game Theory FNAF reactions. Go in chronological order. I have seen the movie. I don't know if I should react to I Solved the FNAF movie or not, because that's by the film theorist, or I should just go ahead and jump to why you hate my theories. I'm not really sure. And then there's this, and then we're almost caught up. This video came out like 2 days ago, so we only have a couple more videos to go. So should I do I Solved the FNAF movie, which is before it came out? Please let me know. I do read every single one of your comments, at least them down below. Also shout out to the patrons, because they get the videos a day early, and allow me to have a pay one channel, because I'm hitting me small, not making pay, but I do read all your comments. But let's go ahead and jump on into Bonnie's Haunted Past. All right.
A portion of today's episode is sponsored by Delta Force.
Delta Force. They make computers, right?
Let's
not.
Daycare attendant. Whatever you call him, I have one question for you. Why? Why is he here? He was randomly introduced in Security Breach, and sure, he managed to deliver one of the hardest, scariest parts of that game, but really ask yourself, what or who is this thing? In a series that doesn't do coincidences, one already full of a core band of animatronics with old and new faces, as well as deep-cut returns like the Music Man. Why introduce a completely random character, completely disconnected from everything else? Honestly, I wasn't sure, and I didn't really talk about him in my theories for Security Breach, but it definitely bugged me in the back of my mind.
2 months ago.
And now, here he is again in Ruin, and not only is he back, he's got more collectibles than literally any other character.
Why?
4 masks, 2 pinatas, 2 plushies, and 2 golden plushies, which is especially strange when main characters like Roxy and Chica only have like 1 or 2 items tops. What is the deal with this
Probably because he's scary.
Give him a nice close-up look. And now watch the clip of the mimic from the end of the game. You see anything interesting? It's the teeth. The teeth are the same, each one individually attached and able to articulate itself. Eclipse, in some way, is related to the mimic. And knowing how old the mimic is, step aside there, Chica. Eclipse was the first. He has truly seen it.
Chica was like, I was the first.
Hello, Internet.
I do not like the mimic. The mimic is scary. A lot of people also said the mimic was really scary at first.
No eggs required.
My theory is the valid theory. Matt Pat can suck an egg.
This one's for you, Mark.
Last time, we started digging deep into the ruins of Security Breach's DLC, where we started to chip away at this game's mountain of mysteries. In the process, we were able to come to a few solid conclusions. First, that Princess Quest was the canon ending, meaning Vanessa was confirmed to control a glitch trap, and everyone celebrated the victory by eating oddly symbolic ice creams on a hill. That also meant that this headless Freddy with the word prototype on his foot, it was indeed Gregory's Freddy. But where does the prototype come from? That underneath the rubble, underneath the pizza
even more.
Hid the one and only Circus Baby's Pizza World. This revelation was huge. Not only did it suggest that Circus Baby's has been around since some of the earliest days of the franchise, but I think it also reveals what the true purpose of Ruin is. This game isn't about looking at the future of the franchise.
It's about the past, obviously.
Instead, it's all about the past.
That's what Ruins
I
are.
believe that Ruin is trying to tie up the loose ends from parts of the franchise we left forgotten. That way, we can move forward with later games. And so today, we're going to be diving into
the other game comes out, I think,
because
December 14th.
History is going to be the key to understanding mixes, Sun
I don't
Moon,
like it.
the truth behind Glamrock Bonnie, and even our new protagonist,
Glamrock Bonnie,
Cassie.
that's it.
So hold on to your nearest handrail, theorists. This elevator is taking a one-way trip straight to the first floor. Or should I say we're taking a trip straight to the first lore? I could say that, but I probably shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Really terrible joke.
Your puns are hitting new lows.
Talking about our new protagonist,
He is a father,
Cassie.
after all.
Even though we spend a whole game with her, we ultimately don't learn all that much about her. Basically, we learn 2 things. She's a fan of Roxy, and she's got some real bad luck with vents.
Why? Wait, why does the vent just break? I guess because it's old and decrepit. Ah!
This vent is creaky. I really hope it's...
Wait, is she like making a bunch of noise or something?
No more vents. Every single time I get in one, it breaks or something.
Wow, that's funny.
We also know that no one showed up for her birthday party.
Oh, that's sad.
Party.
I'm sure your friends will show up this time.
Oh, that's so
no one
sad.
except for Gregory, which is why she's so determined to save him. It's kind of cute.
That sounds
But
like
aside from that,
a
there's
ploy.
not a whole lot else about her. In fact, in an odd
To
twist,
get
we actually
Gregory to
learn
trust
more
her.
about her
Or
dad
get her
than
to
we
trust
do about
Gregory.
her.
A fast wrench. It's just like my dad's.
And it's not just in
Huh?
random throwaway lines either. Thanks to the AR
What did you mean by
collectibles
that?
found throughout the game, we get a ton of information about Cassie's father. That her dad used to collect old Freddy and Friends lunchboxes.
Why?
That Bonnie was his favorite character. That he refused to tell Cassie why Bonnie got replaced. And notice how every line describing him is written in the past tense.
What?
Implicitly
Like he's
telling
not
us that
here
her
anymore.
dad is no longer around. There is a lot in here. It would be fine if she just offhandedly mentioned her dad once, but the fact that Steel
Mentioned it multiple times in past
in here
tense.
means that this character has to be important in some way. But how? And more importantly, why? Well, for Cassie to say that her Faz wrench is just like her dad's makes it pretty darn obvious that he not only worked for Fazbear
Well, did he
Entertainment,
work
but
there?
was
I mean, he
also
could have
a
bought the
technician.
he could have
Throughout
bought the
years, we've
collectibles.
encountered a handful of technicians, mostly in the books. They're usually adjusting rides, fixing animatronics, nothing too exciting. However, there is one set of technicians that has gone long forgotten in the game series. That's right, way back in Sister
Due to
Location,
demonetization,
we got
what?
to see actual humans in this series, only for them to quickly get Sayori'd out of the picture.
The
Heck, we even got to hear these
Doki
guys.
Doki Literature Club.
Things can't go a day without breaking down.
Now, I'm not saying that Cassie's dad is one of the two men that we hear talking or see hanging, but the ending's connections
wow,
to
that
Sister
would get the
Location,
video
plus the
demonetized?
trailer for
Come on
Help
now.
Wanted 2 featuring the Sister Location elevator and an electric panel like the ones that we see throughout Ruin, it all leads me to believe that her father was one of these sorts of technicians. One of the technicians that worked as a part of Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals.
And then was also
in fact,
there-
I suspect that he's the one we'll be
Or maybe
playing
he
as
wasn't
in
there
that
for the
new
pizza
game,
play.
Help Wanted 2, coming out later this
Really?
year. As the trailer says,
Welcome back for another week of career fulfillment.
It's so crazy to be almost caught up with this.
clearly this is someone who's been down here before, and the facility in the game is working and operational. Notice the lack of yellow danger tape found at the bottom of the elevator
Oh.
shaft. We're gonna be joining him for a few days on the job, which in turn should give us the backstory for the events that we're seeing play
No,
out
no,
during
no,
the
no,
ending
no,
of
no,
Ruin.
no.
Maybe even witnessing the moment that they had to seal up the mimic. In fact, I'll take it one step further. Now,
It's
this
angry.
one is a long shot, but I suspect that he and Cassie might wind up united down there in the bunker at the end
That
of all
might
this.
not be a
See,
good
even though
thing.
Cassie speaking about her father in the past tense implies
What
that
if he's
dead,
the
I
new,
don't think that that's actually
you know,
the case.
Burn
I
Trap?
think he just went missing. Look at these two item descriptions. The first is for the AR Bonnie mask, which reads, "What happened to you?" You might interpret that to be what happened to you, Glamrock Bonnie, but that's not true. First,
I
this
could
is
see
an
that.
AR mask of the original Bonnie. It's a mask first seen in Help Wanted 1 as part of the Trick or Treat minigame. It actually far predates the Pizzaplex. But secondly, and more importantly, Cassie actually knows the truth about what happened to Glamrock Bonnie. She knows that it was Monty Gator who eliminated him from the picture. In a later item description,
Wow.
this time for the AR Glam Monty plush, the description reads, "It's hard to look at." Why?
Why?
would the
What did it
only
do?
Monty item that Cassie can collect in the entire game be so hard to look at? Well, it's because she knows what he did. She knows that Monty's guilty, violent, responsible for trashing
Yeah, that was
Glamrock
what
Bonnie.
he
And
is.
as a result, Cassie has a hard time looking at him the same way again. So wait, if the line "What happened to you" isn't about Glamrock Bonnie, then who is it about? Well, it's about her dad. He disappeared one day and they don't know where or why. That's why she refers to him in the past tense. But that then leads us to another question. Why is she reminded of
yeah.
it with that particular item? The Bonnie mask. Just because Bonnie was his favorite? No. I suspect it's because her father wore
That's
that
what I
Bonnie
was
mask.
thinking,
And
but
not only
when did he wear
He
it?
wore it during the single most infamous scene in the entire franchise, the Bite of 83.
Was that the bite
He-
of 87?
No,
But-
Mark, no, it wasn't. My theories are the only valid
That's
theories.
so
you
funny.
go lick a stick. I'm
That's
saying that Cassie's dad
Okay,
is the
Suda Widow.
Bonnie bro. Now, that at first might
Which
seem like a
I should be
stretch, but
taking
again,
on the Elite
remember
Four
what
today on
prompts
Heart
the
Gold
memory of her father,
on stream.
an old mask of the original Bonnie. Just like
So
Bonnie
he
Bro
was one
wore
of the
on that
kids
fateful day all
in the
those
party?
years ago. What's more, notice what's missing from all these collectibles. You have a Bonnie
That's a
mask and
crazy
Foxy
theory.
mask, but no Freddy, no Chica mask. It's suspicious, right? Like, why? Why would Steel Wool include such a random and, more importantly, incomplete collection of memorabilia?
Just to
It's
spite you, Mark.
clearly them trying to tell
Mark,
us something.
Matt,
That this
God, I'm
mask
going
is
insane.
connected to the Foxy mask, the one that Michael wore during the Bite of 83. What's more, Cassie's dad is clearly established to be a massive fan of the Freddy's franchise. One of the collectibles in Ruin are these cute little Freddy and Friends lunchboxes that we're told he used to
I
collect.
don't think I've
Now,
ever
Freddy
had a
and Friends
metal
was a cartoon
lunchbox.
series created by Steel Wool to help promote the release of Security Breach a couple years ago. It was animated in the style of old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, similar to things like
Hanna-Barbera.
Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear,
Huh.
the Flintstones, old shows that actually started in the late 60s but remained
Scooby-Doo
popular
started in
throughout the
1969?
70s and
Nice.
Dates that very nicely line up with Fredbear's Family Diner being open.
True.
And that's not all the proof we have here. Notice how these lunchboxes have a classic metal design with
Uh-huh.
a metal handle on top? They're very
Where's the
similar
game
to
theory
designs that we
ones?
saw popular
The
for
Muppet
kids'
Show.
lunchboxes that existed between the 50s and the 80s. But here's
Bet
the
that
thing, we
Superman
don't even
one's
need
worth
to
a
go
lot
as
of
far
money.
as masks and lunchboxes and cartoons. Pull up Cassie, pull up Bonnie, bro. Can you guess where I'm going with this? Can you? If only there were a way that I could just, I don't know, just visualize the design.
But why
similarities
would
across
Bonnie
the
be her
characters.
father's favorite if...
Oh, I know. Hey, editors,
he
do you
wore
reckon
it when-
you could whip up something for me? Maybe something that connects the red shirt, blue shorts, brown hair, maybe the darker skin tone of these two characters? Yes, beautiful. It's like a work of art. Yes,
Really?
there is I mean, really,
The skin
what
tone.
more proof do you need of this one? But that then brings us back to the question of
Why would he have such-
I
why would that be
picked
his
Bonnie
favorite?
Bro,
Yeah.
of all people. Just for the Easter egg, a random reference to a past character? I don't think that's it. For 9 years now, FNAF has been the story of one family, the Aftons. This
But
was
now this is
their
gonna be
tale,
another
their
family. But
lives,
that's- their story's
mistakes,
almost
their
over.
deaths,
Pretty much
their
over.
resurrections, all of it culminating in that FNAF 6 fire. But with the introduction of characters like Bonnie Bro as Cassie's father, we're being told that we need to widen our scope, not just focus on the Aftons, but rather to those around
And
them.
Cassie's
I still
family.
believe FNAF 1 through 6 is the Afton story, but this new era of FNAF, it's about how the actions of the Aftons during their story affected the people
Other
around
families,
them. The ripple
okay.
effects, the collateral damage. Bonnie Bro was just a kid who grew up loving Bonnie, loved watching the show made by his best friend's dad. But when that friend Michael Afton roped him into a prank that went horribly wrong,
you
he
mean
never lived it down. He went
accomplice
on to study
to a murder?
robotics and become a technician so that it would never
guess it'd be
happen
manslaughter,
again.
actually.
And Ruin just keeps on digging up the past.
Oh,
'Cause
but they
now I
were-
want to talk about arguably the most confusing character across the entire franchise, Eclipse. But first,
Very
I need to tell you
spooky.
about something else that has a long history. Today's sponsor, Delta
And the
Force.
music starts.
This game goes way back, and I do mean
Oh, it's a
way
game.
back. It originally released back
There's
in
music,
1998.
1998, I was
Ash
born in
very quick to
97.
remind me was before they were born, at which point I never felt older. But this series was
Yikes.
revolutionary.
He has music playing in the background. I would have no problem watching the
There may
ad.
even be some hidden lore inside there for you to find. So if you'd like to help
But
me with the
he
lore
plays-
hunt, head on down
it's
to the
happened
description
before
and click
in
the
my
link to
game theory
pre-register
videos.
for the game
When he's
yourself.
done
It'll
an
be
ad
available
read,
on
he's
PC and
used
mobile. There's a
copyrighted
console
music
version on the way, which means
that
that
gets
it doesn't
copyright
matter what
claimed
you and your friends are playing
by a
on, you can
massive
experience
music
a game that has
corporation
truly
after the
persevered
video goes
across the
live.
decades. Once again, make
So,
sure you click the link
yeah,
down
no,
in the
then I have to
description
mute the
below
entire
to
thing. So I'm
pre-register
trying to
for
talk
the
as
game.
much as
Thanks again
possible.
to Delta Force for sponsoring this part of the
Shout out to
video.
Delta
And now
Force.
it's time to talk about the perseverance of someone else, a character from FNAF this time, the daycare attendant. In general, Sun and Moon, they just don't work. They're a court jester, which makes sense inside of a castle-themed
Court
daycare, but
jester?
not in the whole 80s-tastic, futuristic pizzaplex. So where did this thing come from? Well, underneath this terrifying mask is a set of
wasn't in any of the
robotic
other
teeth,
games.
And those aren't just any
Like-
teeth, they're made to move independently. Now, that might not seem like that important of a design feature, but believe me, it is. There's only one other character
Mimic.
with teeth like that, and it's the Mimic. Now take another look
Ah.
at Eclipse's design. It's a scrawny design with arms and
Just like
torso
Mimic.
that are basically just long metal rods with springs wrapped around them. And when you take a look at the back of the head, you'll see a circuit board just there, out in the open. The design feels simple, rudimentary, very bare
Rough draft.
bones, just like the Mimic, who's made up of old parts from industrial machines. Two animatronics made from the same basic shapes and parts.
That were built
now,
around
am
the
I
same
saying
time.
that Eclipse is a Mimic? No. But what I am saying is that these animatronics seem to come from the same time period.
Maybe Eclipse
a time
was a
period
clone
that
of Mimic.
predates practically everything
tried-
that
they
we've
looked
seen
at
in this
Mimic and tried to
franchise.
make their
How
own.
early are we talking about here? Well, for the answer, again, I turn your attention to the AR collectibles. Well, playing through the game, I just couldn't shake how random the collection was. I've talked about this before. A Foxy and Bonnie mask partnered with a Sun and Moon mask. Where's Freddy and Chica? A similar thing happens with the golden plushies. You got Sun Moon, Foxy, Bonnie, Baby, and Glamrock Freddy. So weird assortment, but again,
Yeah,
there's
why?
no Chica. Or you
Are
got
they doing that just to
Bananas.
throw you
There's
off?
Just three of them. Sun, Moon, and Bonnie. Not labeled Glamrock Bonnie, just Bonnie. It's almost like the game is trying to tell us something with all these random groupings and which animatronics are present where. And I suspect that what we're actually seeing here are the eras of the franchise and the key players that existed in each one. And the one who came first, Sun and Moon. You'll notice that of all the collectibles, there are two that are visibly
Interesting.
unique relative to all the others. A collection of two masks that stand out from the rest. The comedy mask and the tragedy mask. They have no eye or mouth holes. They're not even colored. And the fact that they're labeled comedy and tragedy and not Sun and Moon tells us
But
that these
isn't that
weren't just
like,
any masks. They
was
were
that like a
old
Shakespeare
theater
thing?
masks. You're probably familiar with these things. The laughing and crying crying masks?
Yeah.
You see, the tradition of theater masks actually originates in ancient Greek theater. The first plays evolved from rituals that involved masks, so it was natural for actors to wear masks that represented these heightened emotions that
Instead
their
of
characters
acting,
were
just
feeling.
wear masks.
And while I don't think that Sun and Moon date back nearly that far, I do suspect that these masks were actually Afton's first creations. For years, we've been left to
What, it's like
speculate
a
about
theater
the time
kid?
that came before Fredbear's Family Diner. And I did my best in the Ultimate Timeline to piece together a plausible narrative for what would bring Afton to create Fazbear based on the evidence that we had available. But I think that these AR collectibles are Steel Wool's way of telling us that journey. Look at the evolution that's present here. Comedy and tragedy masks. They're the first. They're part of some theater or vaudeville-style sideshow. Then you go to Sun, Moon, and Bonnie Pinatas. A third
Why-
new
yeah, why is
character
Bonnie
gets
just
added
thrown
into
in
the
there?
mix. Afton's character, the Bunny. Then there are 4 masks. Still Sun and Moon, then Bonnie, and then Foxy. There's no Freddy or Chica because they're not here yet. They didn't join the band, as it were, until William and Henry started working together. It's then, and only then, when Henry brings his barnyard animals
So
to
was
the table. Chica,
Sun and
Patch,
Moon
Happy Frog,
beforehand?
that we see the Lunchbox crew develop. The core 4 that we've known and loved since FNAF 1. And then the AR plushies are just everyone who's currently relevant inside of the Pizzaplex, i.e. every character that's been created. As for the golden plushies, I'm not quite sure.
I don't
what
know
they're
why
meant
they'd
to
be
That one
golden.
remains to be seen.
Maybe they're just
Regardless,
something
that
for people playing the
progression
game
of
and
character
aren't
development would
lore-related.
explain why Afton's solo adventure after the closure of Freddy's was circus themed. He's had himself a jester and jester adjacent characters for years. Though I would like to point out very strongly that a jester and circuses are not one and the same thing.
What?
A clown is not a jester, and a jester
No.
is not a clown who works at a circus. A jester is someone who entertains royalty, a king and a queen. He does not work under a big top coming out of a small car. And don't even get me started on the fact that everyone's teasing
Dude.
this new game carnival themed, which again,
Carnival
carnivals
theme?
are not circuses and circuses are not jesters. You're all just trying to retroactively fit them into these themes where
Yeah?
they don't technically go, which honestly probably tells you more about the lore than you would expect. It's actually
That's
kinda
kinda
smart
crazy.
world building. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Anyway, we know thanks to the Tales from the Pizzaplex that a jester costume was
For some
present
reason that-
all the way
that
back when the
book
original
ti-
Mimic was
the
made. Quote,
cover
Dominic's
freaks me out.
flashlight glow picked out a brown Freddy Fazbear costume, a yellow Chica costume, a Foxy costume, a Bonnie costume, and a couple bright pink and yellow-green court jester costumes.
Okay.
And it's clear that the jester idea persisted throughout all of Afton's plans, because in the epilogues of the Tales from the Pizzaplex book, we also read this, quote again, as soon as Lucia's hand slipped into the jester costume sleeve, she recoiled and snatched her hand back. What is it? Kelly asked. It's okay. I just almost got into a spring-lock suit is all.
Almost?
The jester costume developed from just a normal
it a spring
costume
lock?
into a spring-lock suit. Suits, which were definitely used in Circus Baby's Pizza World.
Try not to wiggle, though.
It'd be bad.
You're inside something that came from my old pizzeria.
That's kind of weird.
I
That,
don't
how do you
think
make
it
that
was
word
ever
sound
used.
scary?
I'd recommend that you keep the spring locks wound up.
The spring-lock suit in the epilogue also has a mask that matches up almost perfectly with our daycare attendant. One final quote. Lucia stepped up to the costume, suppressing a shiver at the jester's leering, toothy grin and its wide eyes. And the best part is, thanks to the Mimic, I think I can pinpoint exactly
What's on
when
the
Circus
Mimic's
Baby
head?
started and eventually fell through. I decided to look a little deeper into the room just before the Mimic chase. It's an old room filled with
Oh.
shattered security
Oh, yeah,
nodes,
you just
propane
looked through
tanks,
it.
and the Mixis hub, all connected to a
The
computer
Mixis
which
hub?
we can use to free the Mimic. Now, the majority of
Oh,
people have been
that's so
assuming that
s-
Mixis
that's so
is
scary.
Gregory's doing. His
I don't
backpack
like
is down
it.
there after all.
I
and
don't
the
like
Mimic has
it.
his walkie-talkie, but something just didn't add up to me. The computer controlling the Mixis server is way, way older than any of the other technology that we see throughout the Pizzaplex. We've got camera galleries, modern office spaces, even portable security camera viewing stations. But this super important
Kinda weird
system
that'd
for
be
keeping
portable.
the killer robot under lock and key is using only an old CRT monitor? Yeah, no, that doesn't feel right to me. And this computer isn't just any computer, its design matches those from the 1980s. Specifically,
Well
it reminds
before
me
my
of the
time.
IBM PCJR. Computers that were released in, get this, 1984.
there
Mixis
you-
has been around for a long
Yeah,
time.
literally, and
Trying
I
to keep
don't
the
like-
Mimic
oh,
locked
dude,
away,
that's
but
so
why?
scary.
Well, I think I have an answer to that. An answer that also gives us an explanation for why Mixis shows itself as a blue rabbit. See, I don't think
like
Afton
it.
only copied physical characteristics from the Mimic to make animatronics like Eclipse. I think he also took its software to speed up his creation process. I think that this was one of the ways he was able to populate Circus Baby's Pizza World with the Funtime animatronics. As John from the channel FNAF has been
Oh,
quick
but
to
I
point out
reacted to a
time and
couple
time
of
again,
those.
almost all of the Funtimes have themselves a very specific function. They have the ability to mimic voices. Just like John, I too believe that Afton got
Oh.
that functionality from the Mimic program itself.
Oh.
After the tragic death of his son during the bite of 1983, Afton
Was it the
needed
bite
a
of
backup
87?
plan, something that he could build fast, just in case the Fazbear name was permanently tarnished. So he went went back to the Mimic program and made a copy of its software, transferring
Which was
it
a
into his
bad
newest
idea.
creations, hoping that they would be able to learn routines much faster. He could then give them stomach hatches and other features to help him capture kids, all to forward his experiments
died to
and
that
bringing
thing,
his son
I'm pretty
back
sure.
to life. Everything looked like it was
Dislocation
going
or
according
something.
to plan, but sadly, we know what happened. His daughter got too close to one of his traps
Ice cream.
and was killed.
Yoink.
Afton
Yoink.
was obviously devastated by this and shut the whole thing down. The Mimic program had failed spectacularly. He sealed up the old location with concrete and
That's a
safety
lot of
measures,
concrete.
created a new program that would keep the Mimic locked away permanently. A system wrapped in his signature purple, guarded by the one creature that he could trust.
Dude,
the
that
rabbit
is-
Bonnie. And so Mixes was born. That then gives us two separate Mimics. One inside Baby and the
What?
Fun
How
Times,
does-
ready
does
to
it
be
kill
collected
you?
by Fazbear Entertainment and used to create VR experiences, and the other still trapped down in the basement. This would actually go a long way to explain a weird moment from the middle of Ruin, where Helpy and the Mimic argue with one another.
What happened to it? Yeah, with my help.
They're both
Oh.
Mimic AI, so what exactly is going on here?
Why are
Well,
they-
It's two versions of the same program finally in the same place after so long. Helpy is the Mimic program in the network, while the Mimic talking to Cassie is the physical Mimic down in the basement. It's possible, it's confusing,
But it
and
gets
I
split,
suspect
which is
it
just
might
like
be
Sun and
right.
Moon.
Yes, all in a day's work for FNAF lore, am I right? But hey,
Huh,
that's
me and the boys
just a
will go on a
theory.
Monday.
A
What in the
game
world was that
theory.
meme supposed to
Thanks for
be?
watching.
That's interesting. That is super interesting. That is, yeah, with Sun and Moon having the teeth just like Mimic. That's a lot to think about. This episode gives you a lot to think about. I'm not sure if this is right or wrong, but at this point I'm so caught up that I'm almost got it to the point that we might not have the answers yet. Like in other videos I would watch when I started this in the very beginning, the theories would be like, and then people in the comments would be like, yeah, no, this is wrong. Or actually he got kind of close to being right, or he's close. At this point we have no idea because I'm caught up. The last new piece of media that came out was Security Breach Ruin, and the movie doesn't count to the canon of the games because we're focused on the games. So I guess we don't know yet, or it's really just your opinion of what you think. But let me know if I should watch I saw the FNAF movie, as I've already seen the FNAF movie, or else we just move on to the next one, which was Why You Hate My Theories, which is probably going to be a bit of a rant that's going to have the comments on that video are probably going to be hilarious. And then we get into the last couple, which this video was just uploaded like yesterday or a couple days ago. It's going to be real interesting. I hope you are subscribed to those future videos as we get caught up to the very end. And once we're done with the FNAF videos, then we're going to focus on some other game theory videos like Minecraft and stuff like that. But I hope you have a wonderful rest today. I hope to see you back in the next video. But until the next one, take care and cue the music.
We were